The school courtyard was buzzing when I arrived for pickup. Parents stood in clusters, children running around with backpacks half open, laughter echoing through the air. I scanned for Mia and Oliver, but instead I spotted the principal walking toward me with a concerned look. "Mr. Carter," she said gently, "could we talk for a moment?" My gut tightened. She explained what had happened. A classmate had teased Mia, saying she didn't have a real mother. Oliver had gotten into a scuffle trying to defend her. Teachers had to pull him away, and though no one was hurt, both children were shaken. I clenched my jaw. I hated that word, real. As if the love and life I gave them wasn't enough. As if I hadn't fought for them every single day since they were born. When Mia finally came to me, her eyes glossy with unshed tears, her voice broke softly. "Daddy, why don't we have a mommy like the others?" That single question gutted me. I hugged them tightly, whispering reassurances I wasn't sure I believed. But as I held them, I realized something. Love from one parent was strong, but maybe it wasn't enough in the eyes of the world. On the drive home, my thoughts wouldn't settle. No woman could ever be good enough for them. Not one of my mother's polished socialite candidates. Not anyone who would see the twins as a burden. But then Lily's face surfaced in my mind. Her stubbornness, her fire, her defiance, and the undeniable bond I'd begun to notice between her and the children. She was their mother, whether she admitted it or not. The days after the school incident were strange. The principal's words haunted me. And so did Mia's question. For 6 years, I had told myself that I was enough. That my love, my protection, my presence, were enough for Oliver and Mia. But tonight, staring at their sleeping faces, I finally admitted the truth. I wasn't enough. I had spent years building walls against my family, against my pain, against anything that might claim me. But now, those walls were crumbling. And the thought of losing them to a world that wouldn't understand drove me to a decision I couldn't ignore. Because deep down I knew why I had chosen Lily. Not for convenience, not for obligation, but because she was the only one who could give them what I couldn't, a mother. A woman who carried the same defiance, the same courage they would need in a world that already doubted them. And I knew something darker. I didn't just want her for them. I wanted her for me. The memory of that night at the gala was sharp in my mind. How her presence unsettled me, how her eyes held secrets I wanted to uncover. I remembered her strength, her independence, her refusal to be controlled. I remembered thinking then that no one could ever match her for them. Now, after today, that thought became an obsession. I began to imagine how I could make her see it too, to make her understand what she was denying herself. My plan formed quietly at first, then with deliberate clarity. I would show her what she had missed. Every scraped knee, every birthday candle, every laughter-filled moment she wasn't part of. I would let her see the life she could have, and the children who already belonged to her in ways she could not deny. Because I knew that once she saw them, she wouldn't walk away. And I would go to any lengths to make sure she didn't. Because this wasn't just about contracts anymore. This was about securing their future. And I would fight for it, whatever the cost.
The phone call came in the middle of my busiest day. My assistant's voice sounded hesitant. "Lily, it's about the Carter children. They had an incident at school today. Mr. Carter, he wants to speak to you." I frowned. I didn't know why Ethan was calling me about his children. I wasn't involved. Not really. I hadn't met them. I barely knew him beyond the edges of that fateful gala and the strange tension that followed. Still, something in his tone made me pause. Later that evening, I found myself walking past the school gates without meaning to. From a distance, I saw him. Ethan standing there, his posture stiff, his gaze fixed on the children. They were laughing softly. But there was a shadow around them, a silence between the moments of play. He didn't notice me. I could see it, his shoulders tense, his jaw set. And in that moment, I knew this wasn't just about a school incident. It was about him. And maybe about me. When he eventually turned to me, his eyes were unreadable. He didn't speak of the incident. Instead, he said softly, "They need a mother." The words cut deeper than I expected. It wasn't a question. It was a truth I had never wanted to hear. I shook my head. That's not my place. I am not their mother. He didn't argue. But there was something in his silence, an unspoken challenge, a weight in his gaze that unsettled me. Walking away that night, I found myself thinking about it again and again. I thought about my own life, about the choices I'd made. The way my father had turned away when he learned of my pregnancy. How my mother and sister had whispered behind my back, calling me reckless, a disgrace. How they cut me off, socially, emotionally. I thought about the nights I stayed in the small apartment with my friend, hiding away from the world, working on designs to save my fledgling interior decoration business. How the impulse to refuse marriage and secure independence had driven my choice. How maternal instinct had first stirred when I saw those scans. The tiny beating life that was both mine and not mine. And how everything had changed the night they were born. The birth had been a blur of pain, joy, and fear. The last thing I remembered before they were taken from me was the look in Ethan's eyes, something between relief and possession. And then nothing. I had to forget. Move on. Build my life. My business. My walls. But did I really? That night, as I sat alone in my studio, I couldn't escape the thought that perhaps somewhere in the stillness, my heart had never truly let go. And maybe, neither had Ethan.